Shatter Me is a series that is going to get you to read if you want to start reading. Hi there! It's been long. It's been long. तेरी भी न सुने परदेसी ना गिन 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 गिन. Okay. Hi guys, welcome back to CrazInique, where I help you get rid of your boredom and relate to many stuffs. This is your girl Swikriti Gupta. Today we are doing something very different, something we have never done before. I am going to sit down and talk to you guys for this video, and I'm so excited for this video. I'm wearing specs today. When have you ever seen me wearing specs on this channel before? Today we are going to talk about books that people have recommended to me and see whether or not I'm going to recommend those to you. Make sense? Let's go. I'm going to go chronologically. This is the list of all the books I've already read, and it's in series in the way I have read this book from beginning to till date. I have always been reading books ever since I was a kid. I've always loved reading books. I've read comics zyadatar. Beach mein, when I shifted from Bengal to Uttarakhand, was when I stopped reading for whatever reason. And then COVID hit, and then I was so involved in the phone. I was creating content on YouTube. I was trying to find my footing in music for a while. I stopped reading. And then I think in class 11th was when I first went out and asked my friend. I wanted to start reading again. So I've read comics my full life, and it's been fun. But the book that was recommended to me in class 11th by a friend turned into genres shifting for me. It started being more humanized. It started being more real. All these books that I'm going to mention today are the ones that people have recommended to me, my friends have recommended to me, and I am going to rate those for you and tell you if or not you should read those. The first one that broke the trance of me not reading was Ugly Love by Colleen. Yeah, Ugly Love was lent to me by a friend. Let's talk about Ugly Love. I don't know how to talk about that book. I'm just gonna say I'm not going to recommend it to you. I did not go through the whole thing. It is about what do I say about Ugly Love? There's nothing to say about this book other than the fact that I would not want you to read this. There are so many better books about Colleen Hoover that I'm going to just go across in a while. So keep watching. This book is just not it. So this book gets no rating from me. I'm not going to rate this book. It's not a fine piece by her. Moving on, it ends with us. So I'm going to make it clear to you. The first few books on my list are all Coho, because that, as I said, all these books are recommended to me by my friends. It Ends With Us is the second book that I read, and it's cute. I mean, I don't hate it. It Ends With Us is a very nice book. The protagonists are called Lily Bloom and Atlas Corrigan. But it starts with Ryle. Lily and
Ryle, they meet out of nowhere, and their story starts. But it turns out into a very abusive type of a story. They get married. Atlas is Lily's childhood plot that comes up again after years and years. And this just turns when Lily has her daughter with Ryle. She realizes she wants to break this abusive pattern that's a part of her life, that has been a part of her mother's life. She has seen that cycle go on in her life since a kid, and she did not want her daughter to be a part of the same cycle. So it had to end with her.
That is the entire story. I don't even know why I'm explaining it, because I'm very sure you guys know, and you guys must have read it, because it's very famous among people. Even if you are not a reader, I know you have read this book. There are so many people who have not picked a book in their life, not once, but they have read this book because it was so viral. It was a good story. It was a good one. Atlas Corrigan has our heart. I'm going to rate it like a 3 out of 5, maybe. It Ends With Us is turned into a movie which is going to release in August 9th. Are you excited about it? I want you to comment down below about your thoughts. Ryle is riling. Lily is also fine because we all love Blake Lively. Atlas, well, I'm not going to judge him anymore because I've already judged him enough from the trailer. But I want to know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. The next book that I read was obviously It Starts With Us. So It Starts With Us is a sequel to It Ends With Us. just focuses more about Atlas and Lily's life after she divorces Ryle and lives with her little sweet daughter. It also focuses a lot on Atlas's personal life, his brother. A lot happens. This book is not up to the mark as it ends with as well. It's very smooth and like very simple. It has not much to do. So I'm going to just give you a spoiler. Lily and Atlas are going to marry at the end of this book. But that's also not a spoiler. Everyone knew that. So yeah, this book is sweet. So if I am rating it ends with us 3 out of 5, I'm going to rate this 2 out of 5. But yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. You can read it. It's fine. The next one that I read in my list, oh my god, it was Fault in Our Stars by John Green. And when I say, oh my god, like I knew what I was going to find in this book. I have watched Dil Vichar. I watched it like 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many times. I just watched it to a point where I memorized every single Kizzy Basu dialogues by heart. So I knew what was going to happen. I still read and I cried for like a week. Like, oh my god, this book is written with so much care, with so much details. If you have not watched Dil Bechara or The Fault in Our Stars, or you have not read this book, this is about 2 cancer patients, Hazel Grace Lancaster and Augustus Waters.
And they have found peace in the company of each other. They became friends, and then they spend so much time together. They go, they have dreams, they have bucket lists, all of that. They try to fulfill as much as possibly can.
And at the end of the story, okay, I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's hard. So if you do not have any idea about this entire book, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to be that person, but I recommend you read this book. It's going to be a hard one. I'm going to warn you beforehand that you are going to cry. But I want you to read this book. So I'm going to give it a 5 on 5 just so you know that I want you to read this book. I love Ansel Elgort. I love Shailene Woodley. They're just so good. The next one that I read was Love Hypothesis, Ali Hazelwood. Again, let me just clarify it beforehand. These are all books that were recommended to me. I did not know about them beforehand. I did not know about these writers. These were all recommended to me by my friends who are a lot into reading. This book was fine. So the protagonists of this book are Olive and Adam Carlson. Adam Carlson is a professor in a medical college that she is in. If that's what I remember correctly, I just don't remember enough. My brain's fried. She has a friend who is in love with her roommate, and that friend thinks that Olive is in love with that guy, and she does not want to mess up her chances because she does not want her to feel guilty that she is in love with him, so she would not step up. You know, it's a very messy plot, but you're going to understand it better if you read it because I'm just terrible at explaining stuff. So it's just that she wanted her friend to have
the life that she wanted, that she desired, and that is why she just stepped out and she established the fact that she is already in love with somebody else. There's somebody else, the Dr. Adam Carlson.
Again, I'm not going to spoil anything. This entire video is to talk about the books I have read that have been recommended to me and whether or not I'm going to recommend it to you. I have no intention in explaining you the entire story. I want you to figure it out for yourself. It's a fine book. I'm going to give it like, I don't know, 2.5 out of 5. Yeah, probably 2.5 out of 5. You can go ahead, read it if you are into romance. So yeah. Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is going to be a long video. The next book that I read is, let's talk about this one. Verity by Colleen Hoover. Like, oh my god! This was also recommended to me by my closest friend. The whole reason why I can't talk. The whole reason why I've read so many books is that one person, Shruti, shout out to you. Do we call it Verity or Verity? Because I have called it Verity throughout, but I think in a British accent you call it Verity. So in American it apparently is Verity. Verity. Can you read that? So we are going to call it Verity. Okay, so this book has the protagonist Lowen, who is a writer. The male protagonist Jeremy is married to Verity. Verity met with a very bad accident.
She was paralyzed and brain dead. And she had a really nice series of books that were out. But that series was not completed, and Jeremy needed that series to be completed. So him and Verity's publishers were looking for writers who would sit down and do that entire thing for her. So they came up to Lowen for help to write down the entire series. Lowen went back with Jeremy. She stayed in their home. Lowen had entire access to Verity's office where she used to sit down and work because she had to get into the headspace of Verity in order to write a book on her behalf. So she was trying to get enough idea about probably if there were future references that were there, in which order she wanted the series to flow in. So she was going through them.
During which she came upon a manuscript that was about her life, Verity's life. And she found like really messed up secrets in that manuscript. Like really messed up. You cannot imagine if you have not read the book. So I'm going to let you find those secrets by yourself. But at the end of the book, we get to know that there was a letter that Verity had written where she was contradicting everything that she had written in the manuscript. So everyone who has read Verity on the Bookstagram, on Book Talk, everybody has one question. Are you team manuscript or are you team letter? Me personally, I'm team manuscript. What does that mean? I want you to go read this book. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 just so you can go and read this book. It's going to keep you on the edge of your seat while you're reading. There's a lot of Colleen Hoover I have read, guys. I'm going to keep telling this to you because I can sense the hate coming in through the comment section asking why do I even support her. There are a few books that she has written that are so good. The next one is one of them. Never Never. It's a trilogy. It has 3 books under it. One of the best books of Coho that is so underrated. I've never heard anybody talk about it apart from Shruti, who recommended this book to me again. God, this book has such a different plot, like something which I have never read about, never thought about before, never seen in any show or series. So for me, it was a very different experience reading this book. It is so good. The protagonists are Charlie and Silas.
The story follows the 2 main characters, Charlie and Silas, who wake up with no memory of who they are and how they got there. They quickly realize that they're both seniors in high school and have been dating for a year. However, they have no memory of each other, their relationship, or anything that has happened in their past. As they try to piece together their memories and figure out what has happened to them, they discover that everyone in their town is hiding something, including their families and friends. The 2 of them are determined to find out the truth, but the more they uncover, the more dangerous the situation becomes. As they dwell deeper in the mystery, they start to realize that their forgotten past is somehow linked to a string of unsolved disappearances that have occurred in their town over the years. They are also plagued by strange hallucinations and visions that may hold the key to unlocking the memory.
It's a very different book, guys. I'm telling you, read through the entire series. It's a fun read. I'm also going to give this a 4 out of 5 straight up. I do not remember a lot of what I've read about this book. I read it pretty early on, so I might as well go ahead reread this book when I get time. But it's very good. It's one of the best Coho books that I've read, featuring Taryn Fisher, of course. It's so good. For all those Coho haters out there, this book and a few others that I'm going to name in just a second might change your perspective. Next up in the series is Slammed by Coho. Again, a great read, and this is a part of the Slammed series, book 1, but I did not go through the rest of it because I've heard that they are sad and they end in a different way, and I just did not want to go through it because the protagonists, Laken and Will Cooper, have my entire heart. I loved this book. I finished it in 2 days. 2 days because I did not read it consistently, otherwise I would have finished it within 24 hours. Short read, simple, sweet, is sad. I have cried. So Will Cooper lives with his younger brother.
And Laken lives with her brother and her mother. So they had to transfer after the death of her father because they could not keep up with the big house. They had to shift. And after transferring, they end up in this house. Straight from their house, across the street was Will Cooper's house. And that is how they met, they talked, they became friends. Then they figure it out that Will Cooper is working as a teacher in the high school that she is studying in. Now that becomes difficult because he has ethics that he does not want to work against. And Laken also understands that, but again, she doesn't really. Like, she's sad and she wants things to work, but she also realizes that it just isn't possible.
So it's just how they come up and it's just that entire story. It has a sad plot, not exactly sad. It ends beautifully and I loved the concept of this book. It's very simple. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. You can read it. It's short and it's sweet and it's nice. Stay hydrated, guys. It's very important. The next one is the last Coho book that I have read in quite some time, in a few months. Heart Bones by Colleen Hoover. I love this story. It's such a sweet, tragic story between Bea and Samson. I went through a roller coaster of emotions while reading this. Anger, desperation, sadness. It's everything. It's everything. Again, another book that I'm going to give like a, I don't know, 2.5, 3 out of 5 that you should go and read. It's nice. This marks the end of an era and then the beginning of a new era. The June 2024 era that Swikriti Gupta went through. It's crazy because I finished like 7 books in June and by now I have read like 5 books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm on my 6th book and it's literally just 15th July. So now starts an era of bookworm Swikriti and I'm going to take you through all my favorite books. I haven't read much books as such. I've read series and trilogies. I'm going to talk you through them and I'm going to force you to read those books because God, they're just too good. I was traveling from here back to my hometown on 4th June, which was when I started this book while I was in train. Shatter Me by Tahiri Mafi. Okay, we have entered finally to the Shatter Me series. It's a series of 6 books and 5 novellas, which are short books from the point of view of all the characters within this book. This is about a 17-year-old girl named Juliet Ferris,
who had been locked up for 264 days in a mental asylum where she saw no one, talked to no one, but she was locked in here because she had a gift that establishes as a gift over the time, but at first is just a curse that she thinks she has. Her curse is that whatever she touches with her bare hands just crushes under her immense power. So she had gone through a very bad childhood with 3 abusive parents, and there was this one instance which was the most unfortunate instance of her life. She tried to help a little baby boy who was crying at the side of a grocery store. She went to try to pick him up, but that resulted into her accidentally killing that boy, and everybody thought she was a murderer, a psycho killer, and that is the reason why she was taken under this establishment that is named the Re-establishment, which is the head of the entire world at this point.
This is a dystopian story plot that takes time to build up. It was very hard for me to understand what's going on exactly at the very beginning of the book. It's a slow start, as I said again. It's confusing, very confusing. But again, if you do not read the first book, you are not going to understand the rest of the book in the series. It is phenomenal. A series that I'm going to give, I don't know, 100 out of 5. Like, you should go and read it. Shatter Me is a series that is going to get you to read if you want to start reading. It has a few characters. Now, if you are very active on, I don't know, if you're watching from outside India, which I don't know if it's happening, but if you are watching from outside India and you have TikTok, or if you just have a feed on Instagram that has books and book recommendations, you must have heard this name, Aaron Warner. Okay, let me do this. Aaron Warner Anderson, Chief Commander and Regent of Sector 45, the son of the Supreme Commander of the Re-establishment. So the characters I'm going to go through with you. Juliet Ferris, the protagonist of this entire series. Adam Kent, in the first book you are going to see a lot of Adam Kent, and I honestly liked that guy at the very beginning. Honestly, I really did. I was finding him sweet and oh my god, like, he's great, he's a gentleman, all that. Then comes characters like Aaron Warner comes in. Okay, Aaron Warner, you are going to hate Aaron Warner in the first book and the second book, like half of the second book probably. Then there are characters like Kenji Kishimoto also is a very skeptical character at the very beginning. Turns out to be the sweetest character I've ever read about. Kenji Kishimoto is my book best friend for life. I'm not going to go through entire 6 books with you right here. I'm just going to tell you guys to go read it and read it in a series. First book is Shatter Me, the second is Unravel Me, third is Ignite Me. The best book in this entire series. Like, oh my god, Ignite Me is where the things start to make sense and you're just going to, oh my god, fall in love and not want to keep the book down. You just would want to finish it off in the very instance. The 4th book is Restore Me, the 5th is Defy Me, and the 6th is Imagine Me. Imagine Me is the second best book of the series to me, personally. I've read 2 novellas. I've read Destroy Me, which is from the perspective of Aaron Warner, and Fracture Me, which is from the perspective of Adam Kent. I am going to recommend you guys read the novella after you finish the 6 books. Otherwise, a lot of secrets just unravels quicker than you would want or you would like to know. Just don't read the novellas before you finish the 6 main books. I am so glad I did not read Destroy Me before I read Ignite Me, because that would have wasted so many good secrets very early on, and I would not want that. But Destroy Me made me love Aaron Warner so much more, and Fracture Me just made me hate Adam Kent even more. Why do we hate Adam Kent? Read the book. Read the third book is the reason why you are going to hate Adam Kent. As I said, I used to love Adam, but he just did some really stupid things and he shouldn't have done that. Aaron Warner goes into this category. Like, Aaron Warner Anderson is the goal. He's the standard. Okay, this t-shirt is for him. So I read Shatter Me series with a break in between, and I started reading Save Me by Mona Carsten. Now, if you have watched Maxton Hall, then you will know that this is the book that the show is based on. And I read this book because I really wanted to read it. Like, that's the explanation. This book was not recommended by anyone. I just wanted to read it because I am a huge Maxton Hall fan. Like, you will know if you follow me on Instagram how big of a fan I am of Maxton Hall. So Save Me is written by Mona Carsten, the entire reason why the show exists. Save You is the second book of the trilogy, and then the third book is Save Us. Let me just say, Prime Video did such a good job. Prime Video Deutschland did such a good job turning this book into the show. It's so accurate. I love it. Like, it's probably one of the best book to movie adaptation I've ever seen. And the book, like, oh my god, it's so good. I've read Save You, so I know what's coming in Maxton Hall season 2. And I just want to say, ich liebe dieses Buch so sehr. Mona Carsten ist als Jenny. I'm gonna rate this book like 4 out of 5. It's really good. It's a great one. I have not read Save Us. I'm saving that book for after season 2 of Maxton Hall releases, because I do not want so many spoilers for myself so quick, because I know how the story is going to end for season 2. I just do not want to go so ahead of everything and just know about it all beforehand. It's just not fun. So I'm going to read it after season 2 releases. But Save You, the second book, it's so simple. It's great. Now let's talk about the most recent read, and this is the last segment of this video, the last book I'm going to definitely ask you to read. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Of course we are going to talk about this. This book is everywhere now because the series is coming out on 1st August on Netflix by Holly Jackson. Let's talk about this book. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The protagonist, Pippa Fitzmaurice, is a
17-year-old high schooler who is from Little Kilton and has this EPQ project in her school, wherein she has the liberty to pick a topic and then do a further deep dive into that topic and prepare it for a project for her end semesters. In this town, in Little Kilton, 5 years before Pippa Fitzmaurice reaches the stage to start whatever she's doing, 5 years before saw a really gruesome story of death, the murder of Andy Bell. She was 17 at the time she was killed. That is everyone who thought that she was killed by her boyfriend, Salil Singh. Yes, Indian representation in this book, which is also super cool. Salil Singh was also 17 at that time. They were classmates. So that was the story by everyone that was fed into every citizen's minds, that Salil Singh murdered Andy Bell and then the next day he committed suicide. And everyone thought he did it because he was guilty, he was scared of confrontation, all of that. Pippa Fitzmaurice, she knew Salil Singh, not personally as such, but she liked that guy. Sal was always good to her, and she thought it to herself that it was impossible that he could be a murderer. Like, he would kill someone he loved. The entire book goes with her trying to investigate. She joins hands with Salil Singh's younger brother, Ravi Singh, who he just wants to prove the innocence of his brother for obvious reasons. They join hands, they dig deep.
They go through some seriously bad secrets, a lot about Andy's past, a lot about other people's past. At the end they come to a conclusion, which I'm again not going to say because spoiler ho jayega. I want you to go read this book. Before starting this book, I never read mystery or murder mysteries or all of that. It was a slow start for me in this book. Like, I was actually bored. I'm not exactly bored, I was lost. I was not able to keep up. So I read it and it picked up. It picked up in the second half of the book, and I just could not keep this book down. Like, I was like, I have to read it, and I remember my reaction through the last few pages of the book was like, what the hell is happening? Like, that was my reaction. I could not keep calm. And when I finished the book, I was hyperventilating. I was like, no way. If you want to get into mystery thrillers, this is the book for you. You have to get this, read it through for you to start wanting to know more. Second book of the trilogy, Good Girl, Bad Blood. oh my god, I cried. When I say I cried for a person that I was not thinking I would cry for. Whew. In this book, Pippa starts a podcast. Whatever mysteries she solved in the Andy Bell case, she converted it all into a podcast and started a true crime podcast series that
had huge amount of listeners, but she vowed to herself that she is never going to do this ever again because it destroyed her the first time. It got her really messed up in her head because obviously if you are 17 years old and you're trying to solve an entire case that has so many secrets going in the underground, and it was a case that was like closed. The police officers closed this case. उन्होंने सलील सिंह को घोषित कर दिया था murderer. Pippa reopened that case after 5 years and solved it. So it obviously took a toll on her mental health, and she vowed to herself that she would never do it again. But then her friend, her best friend from school, Connor, comes up to her and says that his elder brother Jamie Reynolds is missing, and he had to take her help because she now had a podcast, had a good connection with the police and everything. Like, she was the only person who could help him find Jamie out. And she really did not want to go through with it. She went to the police, asked them for the help. The police straightforward told her on her face that they cannot help. She had to go through with the second case, which she did, and it took a huge toll on her head.
The second book, a lot of people do not like the second book, but I don't know, it is straightway a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I love the second book so much. It's so mysterious in ways. I was angry, I was crying, I was shocked, I was hyperventilating, I was giggling, I was doing everything in this one book itself. The book that I am reading right now, which is going to be the last book that I'm going to talk about, As Good As Dead. The last book of the trilogy by Holly Jackson. I have read through half of it, and when I say I am shook, like to my core. Now I'm going to post this video probably after I finished this book and I have probably picked up a next book, whatever, but this book has shook me to my core. Like, the whole night yesterday I was just hyperventilating when I was reading because it was getting so intense, and I just know this is the best book of the trilogy. It is so good. Like, Holly Jackson has my whole heart. She is such a crazy writer because, you know, to write a romance novel, I feel like it gets easier, but to write a mystery thriller, because you have to actually put in brain to think about plot twists and everything, and then even as a reader, you need a lot of your brain to work in order to decode what's going on in the story. And I had to use a lot of brain, and for the first time, I was actually thinking so sharply just reading a storybook. This book is so good, and I'm going to give it a 5 on 5. I haven't read it, but I'm going to give it a 5 on 5, and I want you guys to go and read it. Don't start from As Good As Dead. Start from A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, of course. Let's talk about the Good Girl's Guide to Murder show. Like, I watched it, and I love Emma Myers. We have watched her as Enid Blyton in Wednesday, and I've always loved her. And I've watched the show, and well, let's just say books are books and shows are shows. A book will always be superior to a show. There's so much that has not happened in the show that I'm so angry about. I'm disappointed about it, but that's just how it is. Like, if you have to wrap around 300-400 page books into 6 seasons of 40-50 minutes each, they have to have a lot of differences, and it was so not detailed oriented the way the book is. But again, I love the casting. It's just perfect casting for me. Those are all the books that I've read in the past 1 year or slightly more than a year, but I have read most of those books in the last month. The next book that I'm going to read, probably I really want to go through the Powerless series. I've heard so much about it. I want to read that. I want to read Twisted series. I want to read Aquata. So there are a lot of books in my TBR right now. But if there are any books that you want me to read, that you have read, is your 5 on 5 book, I want you to comment it down because I really am trying to get into reading. Let's go through my entire list once again, and I'm going to tell you which are the books that I recommend. Ugly Love, I do not recommend. It Ends With Us, yeah, you can read it. It Starts With Us, you can, but if you don't have time or if you don't want to read it, still fine. Fault in Our Stars, massively recommended. Please read it. It's a heartbreak book that's going to shatter you, but it's just fun that way. Verity. Read it. God damn. Never Never, absolutely read it. Slammed, yes, you should read it. Hard Bones, yes, also you should read it. The Shatter Me entire series, Shatter Me, Unravel Me, Ignite Me, Restore Me, Defy Me, Imagine Me. Read it. I do not want to hear a no from you. Read it. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, massively recommended also. Do read it. Read it. Try to read it before August 1 when you will finally get to see the show on Netflix. Good Girl, Bad Blood, also yes. And As Good As Dead, also yes. The entire trilogy, yes. Read it. So yeah, those are the few books that I've read over the course of time and have had fun with them. Stream my 5th single, Par Kya, that is out on all streaming platforms right now. You are going to get a link somewhere over here. So go and watch the music video क्योंकि मैंने अकेले बनाया है, बहुत time लगा था. You should go and support. It was a fun video. It was a long video. I don't know if you have reached till here, but if you have watched it till here, I want you guys to comment down. Fictional men are the best. I want you to comment down so I understand that you have reached here. And if you have reached here and you are commenting this sentence, I'm going to give you a shout out on my next video. अगर आप नए हैं then आपको shout out rules नहीं पता, but well, just do this. Just comment this and I'm going to give you a shout out in the next video. So like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon so whenever I have a new video coming up, you know exactly at that point. College vlogs will be coming up from next month, hopefully, when I'm going to go off to college. But before that, I'm here and I'm yours. So yeah, bye, be uniquely crazy, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah.